I am so happy to see so many third grade kids here, because when I got started collecting bugs, that's about how big I was. So I have been collecting bugs for a long time. But I started when I was just a kid like you. And I grew up in the town of Conroe. Now Conroe is just like more Houston now. But back when I was a kid, Conroe was a lot like Centerville. After the stores closed, you could walk around the square and you wouldn't see a single person, but you could see bugs. So I collected insects walking around town. There was a vacant lot not far from my house, and I was there all the time collecting bugs. And I was lucky because my mother was not scared of bugs. She didn't let me be scared of bugs either. Man, I could have brought a tarantula in the house and it would have been okay. All right, so I was lucky that what I was interested in, that my parents were okay with it. Now, as I started getting into 4-H, I did a lot of different projects. But entomology, which is the big fancy name for studying bugs, was always one of the things that I liked to do. And back in those days, there was not a contest for your collection. We had contests, but it was more like school. It was more like going in and taking a test over stuff that you learned. It wasn't something that you did and you brought and you showed. So I think this is really neat that you get to make a collection and then you get somebody to look at it and tell you how well you did it, what you did right, what you need to work on, so that in the future you make another collection, it's a little better. And every time you make one, it's a little better. Collecting insects is a lot of fun, but it's also challenging because you have to pay attention to the picky little details. And that's a good thing to learn how to do. To make something that's just right. And it gives you a real good feeling when you are proud of this box of bugs that you put together. So I really am excited that you're going to have a chance to do that. I think that it's important to learn a little bit about insects as we go along. So when we have a meeting, if I can come to that meeting, I might bring you something that I guess we could call it a lesson. I don't want it to sound like school. I want it to sound like fun. But it'll be a time for us all to put what we know about insects kind of together. And I wasn't quite sure what lesson I would want to bring to a bunch of people that I've never met before. And I thought about what I would like to talk about tonight. I thought, well, maybe I'll catch a ginormous moth and bring that. But I couldn't find any. Now, in a week or two, there's going to be some great big moths. Some of them are green, some of them are brown, but there weren't any today. And then I thought, well, I could bring that great big kind of beetle. There's a kind of beetle that's so big. When I was a little kid, I would catch them and I would take thread and I would make little harnesses for them. And I would take a little matchbox and make a little wagon. And I would make those beetles walk around and pull a little wagon. But I couldn't find any of them either. So I thought, well, what can I catch? So I got out my trusty butterfly net and I went outside and I swooped it around a little bit just to kind of get back in the habit. And guess what? A bug got in it. And I thought, okay, you're the one. Can you tell me what kind of insect I have caught? Now, he's crawling around. Do you recognize that fella?
A fly?
It is. It is. Can you see it? He's crawling around. He's very much alive. Okay. See it? If we give it a little bit more space in there, it'll really start buzzing around. You suppose he wants out? Yeah, he probably does. See?
Once I pack one of those in my room, and I can use that on the window so much it kills.
Yeah, they're kind of in trouble when they get inside the house, aren't they? Yeah. So, well, gosh, that's not a very great insect. Everybody knows houseflies. Nobody wants to learn about a housefly. We see them almost every day, even if we don't want to. So, what's up with a housefly? Do you know that once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a ruler who said to his space force, I want you to go to every planet that has life on it and bring back the most representative organism that you can find. The one critter that best gives us an idea of what life is like on that planet. And do you know, when those space aliens came to our planet Earth, that is what they took? Yep. Of all the living animals on the face of the earth, that is the average animal. That is the average animal. For one thing, did you know that houseflies are found on every continent that man is on? You cannot get away from them. I don't think they have any of them on the space station. But you can't get away from them. They have traveled with man to every part of the world. They're found everywhere. Nobody loves houseflies. If I reached over there and smashed it like that, nobody would cry. Right? Nobody would cry. Nobody loves them. We don't like them because we don't think they're very clean. And they're not very clean. Do you know how they eat? Their mouth parts are very special. They don't bite and chew up their food. Their mouth is like a sponge. Now, a sponge picks up better if it's wet, right? So, if they land on your sandwich, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to spit on it. And then they're going to mop up everything they can.
And then they're gonna die because someone slapped them.
But if they get away, fly around, and then they'll land on somebody else's sandwich. Or maybe they'll land on the manure pile out there underneath the rabbits. Maybe they'll land on something that's been dead on the side of the highway for a while. And then they'll find somebody else's sandwich. We don't like them because they can carry diseases. Not because the diseases live in them, but just because they carry them around from place to place to place. So we do try to get rid of them because we know that they have the chance of making us sick. Now, as an individual insect, they're pretty impressive. Do you know that fly right there, what that fly sees, their brain can understand what they see about 7 times faster than we can. Their brain, tiny as it is, works fast for what they see. Is it easy to swat a fly?
Yeah. No.
You have to kind of practice. And that's because they can see you coming. It is hard to hit them unless you practice. Because they've got very good vision.
I already know how to hit one.
Yeah, well, we can all do it, but do we ever miss? Yeah, we miss a lot. Now, in addition to seeing, flies have a great sense of smell. How do you think they find that sandwich or that manure pile?
Can they see it?
They can smell it. And do they smell with their nose? No, they don't even have a nose. They smell with their arms. They smell with their arms. And they have kind of little taste organs on their feet. So they can smell with their arms and they can taste with their feet. If you watch a fly real close, sometimes he'll be sitting there and he'll go like this. He's cleaning off those sense organs so that the next thing he walks on, he can taste that too. They're not trying to clean it for your sake. They're trying to clean it so that they can walk along and go, ooh, that's sweet. Ooh, that's kind of sour. Ooh, that's sweet. So, they smell with their arms, they taste with their feet, they recognize each other by touching. You know, some kinds of insects communicate with chemicals. Like if you've ever watched ants, and there's one ant, he's walking, and there's another ant, he's walking right along by. Pretty soon there's a whole bunch of ants, and they're all following each other. How do they know to stay in line? They're smelling it, okay? Well, flies have a sense of smell of each other, but they have to touch each other to do that. So, if they want to have males and females getting together, they have to literally bump into each other. But that's not hard because there's so many of them. They bump into each other, and then the next thing you know, that mother fly is ready to lay eggs. Because a fly goes from being an adult to laying eggs. That fly, if that's a girl fly, and I didn't really look to see, but if that's a girl fly, she will probably lay 500 eggs. No wonder there's so many flies. Okay? She'll lay 100, And a day or two later, she'll lay another 100, and she'll lay another 100. She'll lay about 500 eggs. Now, do flies have any enemies? Do they have any enemies?
Yes.
Well,
human beings.
besides people that have gotten good with their fly swatters, do they have any enemies out there in nature? Who do you suppose is an enemy of a fly? Who do you think?
Spider.
A spider is that's a very good answer. All right. Do they have any other enemies?
Probably a scorpion.
Yeah, that would work too.
Frog.
A frog. That's a good answer. All right. What do you think?
A chameleon.
Yes. Lizards and flies. Tasty. Can you think of any others? Did you know there are birds that are called flycatchers?
Oh yes.
Flycatchers.
Venus flytrap.
And then there's the Venus flytrap. And there are some tiny little wasps that go after flies. So flies have plenty of enemies. Something's out to eat a fly all the
Nobody
time.
likes flies, whether it's a human, a bug, or a plant.
Yeah, it's just that we're not going to eat them. I don't think.
Actually, you could shove it in a sucker like
You know
a
what?
scorpion.
Someday, I hope this doesn't come true, but someday we might be raising flies to eat them. I sure hope not. They're high protein, but I don't think they're delicious. I'm not sure, because I can't remember ever eating one, but that's okay.
Oh, I remember swallowing one down my drain.
It was an accident, huh?
It was an accident, but it didn't taste good.
Yeah. Well, what else would you like to know about houseflies?
How to get rid of them.
How to get rid of them? Well, here's one of the best ways. Remember I said that the male and the female recognize each other because when he bumps into her and touches her, he likes how she smells. He can't smell her from far away. But if he bumps into her and he puts his feet on her, it's like, ooh, you're nice.
Because the feet are the taste buds, aren't
That's
they?
it. That's where they're tasted. So, because we know that, we study the insect and we say, well, what is it about her that smells so good? And sure enough, the scientists figured it out. Figured out what the chemical was. And once we know what the chemical is, real smart people figure out how to make a product that smells like a pretty girl housefly. And
So
what do
the
you
flies
think?
are going to be bumping into you left and right.
And so the flies are going to be bumping into this product, and it's going to attract them. And if we put some poison in there with it, not only will they come to it,
But they'll die.
they'll die. That's right. And the nice thing about that is we don't have to spray it all around. We can put it in one little spot. So that's really, and so we're going to call it a bait. And that's one of the best ways. And if you use it, you know, the label says, you know, where to put it and where not to put it. That's one of the best ways to have fewer flies. There is no way to have no flies. They're smart like that. But you can have a lot fewer flies in using the right kind of products. And that's, you know, that's something that back when I was y'all's age and learning about insects in my 4-H program, we spent a lot of time learning how to kill bugs. We did. And we used some chemicals, or used them, or studied them. We studied chemicals that were really, really dangerous to use. And we had to know all about them, and we had to know about how to use them safely. But now we have a lot more products to use that aren't so dangerous. And so that's a real good thing. Now, how many people want this fly dead? This particular fly right here, we want him dead. How can we do that? If we want to put him in our collection. I mean, sure, I could take that fly and I could take a book and I could go wham, and he'd be dead. But would it be good for our collection?
No, he needs to shove a needle in his head and he's good.
Well, but we need him dead first. The first thing we need to do if we're going to make a collection, once we've caught our insect, we need to make them dead. Now, most of the time this doesn't make us very sad. And I hope it doesn't make you too sad. It is very, very unusual to catch an insect that is so rare that losing one's a terrible thing. That's not likely to happen to you, okay? But we do want them to die quickly. We don't want them to suffer for days and days. We want them to be dead pretty quick. And we don't want them to be messed up and squashed because once they're dead, we want to put them in our collection, and we want perfect looking insects in our collection. So how do you suppose I can kill that fly and his body be just perfect?
Alcohol.
Alcohol is too slow. It is too slow. There is something much better.
Kill jar. Kill jar.
Kill jar. All right. People who collect insects long, long time ago figured out a way to make a container that they could put insects in. They die quick, and we call it a killing jar. Now, would you like to show them the killing jar?
Okay. So you're not filming this, right? We made kill jars for you. They may not be the prettiest, but we have a jar with the plaster of Paris in here, and we're gonna saturate the plaster of Paris with. We have acetone, and that way, when you collect your bug, which you've probably already done this, you can put your bug in here and seal it up really tight.
And then it dies.
And they're going to die. And they're going to die pretty quick.
You're going to leave home with one of those.
Yeah.
Not so clean.
So we have several of those made up. Acetone is not without hazards, but acetone is basically fingernail polish remover. Okay? So don't stick your nose in your killing jar and see if it'll kill you. I don't want to know. All right?
We did put a poison label on there to remind you that that's not a jar of pickles.
Yeah, it's not a jar of pickles. No. Okay. So what are the challenges of using this jar? Well, wherever the bug is, we got to get the jar over here. We got to take the lid off the jar, but do we want the jar to be open for a long period of time?
No.
No, you want to work quick.
You open it, shove the bug in, and walk in.
Open it, shove the bug in there, close it right back up. That's it. So open it, shove the bug in, close it up. And it is better not to kill a whole bunch of bugs at one time. Because sometimes if one's a big bug and one's a little bug, the big bug's going to break the little bug. And remember, you're trying to get perfect ones. So the best thing is if you can kill one bug at a time.
Do you recommend tissue in there or just?
No.
Okay.
And that's because, especially don't put cotton balls. Now, paper towels, okay, but you really don't need to. And you put cotton balls and stuff, especially beetles, they'll just do like this, and then you'll spend all your time trying to get the cotton ball and the bug separated. So, don't need to do that. Okay. Once you have your insect dead, and you wait, don't expect him to be dead, instant. Give it a few minutes. Be sure he's dead before you try to get him out of there. Now what are you going to do with that insect? Because you don't know yet how to put them into your collection, and you don't have all the equipment yet. That's not going to keep you from starting to collect your bugs. Where are you going to put your bug now?
In some place to dry it out.
And if it's not a butterfly, then I really recommend, we need to talk about butterflies and moths before you collect them. I would really recommend that you wait to collect those until we've talked about them. But other kinds of insects, usually you can just put them in a Ziploc bag and then put them in a place where nothing's going to get on top of them and mash them. And they'll be fine there. Now, when you collect an insect, it is very, very, very important that you take down some information about that insect when you do it. The date, what day did you collect that insect? And the location, where did you collect that insect? And the habitat. Now, what's the difference between location and habitat? What can you tell us?
A habitat is where the bug lives, and the location is where the habitat is at.
Okay, location is like the address. It's like literally the address. Now, you don't have to get right down to the address like your house, but your town. Okay? If when we walk out of this room, you see a bug on the sidewalk, the location is Centerville. Okay? Habitat is the kind of place. Was it in a lawn? Was it in a vegetable garden?
Was it on the side of the road?
It was on the side of the road. Was it on your squash plant? What was the kind of place? And I know that you're going to say, I don't have to write that down. I'll remember it. But
And
then
then
after you've collected 10 or 12 bugs, you start getting mixed up. So, right there in that Ziploc bag with your dead bug, you put a little piece of paper and you say something like, March 30th, Centerville flower bed. And it's in there for later on, and you don't have to try to remember it. Okay? Now, I know that you think you can remember all of that stuff, but trust me, it's better to put a little tag in with the insect the day that you kill it. Well, all right. The time has come. I'm going to let y'all do this. That way, if the fly gets loose, it's not my fault.
But there is no acetone in the jar just yet.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
Fix us up one. Charge us up a killing jar.
Now, while I'm doing that, can you explain how soon we should get them out of the killing jar? Because we have ruined several bugs, i.e. the hissing cockroach that we had bought. We went to go get it out today. It had sat there way too long.
Way too long.
So, is there a time frame of how soon we should get them out of the killing jar?
Small insects, I would say get this fly out 30 minutes. 10 minutes. Doesn't take long to kill little bugs.
Okay.
But a big old fat,
Not
like that water bug, half an hour in the jar, just to be sure.
we didn't kill him like with the jars and stuff.
Sometimes you get lucky.
He just died.
He just
Sometimes
died.
sometimes you get lucky like that. And as long as they're still perfect. Problem is, when you find one that's already dead, sometimes its legs are broken off. And okay, let me tell you a funny story. Back when I was a teacher, I had my kids do insect collections. And the first year I made them do that, I had a few kids who every one of their insects was all smashed and legs everywhere. They looked bad. Where'd you get all your insects? They were picking them off the radiator of their car. Now, you can go ahead and look at the radiator of your car, and there might be a good bug there, but probably not. You want perfect bugs. You don't want to make a radiator collection, okay?
A broken bug collection.
Broken bugs. I even had kids who got really, really, really good at gluing legs back on. I had a few that they were so good at it that I couldn't tell. If you can get that good, okay. All
Yeah,
right?
that's perfectly fine. It never broke off.
Say, what broken leg? Okay. How many legs should an insect have?
6.
6. Yeah. You look in your collection box and you got bugs with 5 legs. That's all right. Okay. Okay. Who's gonna be our guinea pig on this? All right. The job is yours. Okay. First of all, where is our fly?
Uh-oh, he flew away.
No, let's see where he went. There he- Yep, there he is.
I thought all those spots were flies.
Yep, there he is. Okay. Good luck.
Put him in the jar.
She said good luck.
Okay, do you have your jar ready?
Is your jar ready? Get over there, close to your jar.
Bye-bye, fly.
I don't want it to be open too long.
See, killing bugs is kind of some of the bugs that I don't see that often. I have a cockroach in here, and it was kind of hard to kill, just completely kill him.
Whoa, get the lid on, get the lid on, get the lid on. You got so much acetone in there, the bugs drown.
I'm so sorry. I
So
did not
just a
put that. Okay, you won't be able to save that fly. I'm sorry.
Now, one thing with the acetone is it will evaporate out.
Yeah.
What doesn't soak in, it will evaporate.
Some soaks in. It'll be all right.
Yeah, that's another easy way to
You'll learn
kill
about
it.
your-
Drown it.
Now, here's a question. Can you kill insects for your collection with something like Raid or something like that? Can you do that? Let's say you had a wasp. You saw a wasp. Could get the wasp spray, kill it?
It would die and break its leg.
If it
die,
If it turns out perfect, you're all right. But some of those products leave the insects kind of greasy, and they don't look quite right. You can try it, but you better be really careful if you're going to use some of those commercial bug sprays, because you can hurt yourself with those things. So that might be a time when you might want to call for an adult to say, okay, I found a nest of wasps. Can you come and spray it for me? And let's see if we can find one that's perfect, okay? So I would.
but the wasp spray though is poisonous
You
too.
safety is the number one thing. We will not be having any fun in bug club if we find out that one of you make yourself sick. That would be no fun at all. So safety is number one. I would rather hear your story of how you didn't get the bug than hear a story about how you got the bug and then you made yourself sick. I don't hear that
Or
story.
how you got the bug and then had to go to the hospital.
We don't want to hear that story. We don't want that to happen, okay?
And in addition to what Miss Novalene is talking about with pesticides, think safety also. Don't climb out on the end of that tree limb because you want to get that perfect bug and then the tree limb falls and you hurt yourself.
Yeah,
We do not want to hear that story either.
yeah.
So
we
be
don't
safe.
want to hear how your leg fell off. We
That's
want to hear
right.
how the bug's,
Bug's leg
off.
fell off. Okay.
Precisely.
All right. Now, this is a kind of a fun thing. What do you call that?
Net. Butterfly net.
This is a butterfly net, and this is something that if you don't have one, you can actually homemade make one like this. I never had a good professional net like this when I was in 4-H doing it. I built my own nets.
I have this cheap net with a hole in it.
Well, that will work. You need somebody with a sewing project to fix you up. So this is the kind of thing that is fun to have. It's fun to make. It's a great thing in your 4-H project to make your own net. So you might want to look at this and see how it's made. I usually made them with a coat hanger and a dowel rod and a hose clamp. This is the way I made mine. So you might want to look at that a little bit. So what are some other things that we need to do tonight? We have successfully killed a bug.
Put it in.
We need to shove a needle in its head.
Okay,
Pins.
when you're making insect collections, you do put a pin in them. It's a pin, not a needle. And you don't put it in their head.
Put it in the
But your idea is correct. The next thing that's going to happen with this fly, once he's dead, and he's probably dead already, is he's going to get pinned, and there are ways to do that. And I believe in one of these things, there's probably some instructions that you can find online, but
We'll have some instructions for you next time. So
Okay.
if you collect insects
And maybe
between
do
now
some
and
practice.
next time, using your kill jar, save them in the little bags. And next time we can practice on pinning.
pinning. And you'll notice that a correct box, and we'll have some boxes, they're up on their pins. They are not like laying on cotton or something like that.
Oh, the horse is laying on cotton.
Yeah.
Well, I ordered the wrong box, so.
So well, we are trying to do it the professional way. But the reason for that is because sometimes when you are trying to identify your insect exactly, you need to look at the underneath side. So the nice thing about pins is that you can always pick them up, turn them over, and see what's underneath if you need to. Okay, we have a little collection over here, and I think we need to look at it and get an idea of what a collection can look like. And we might have some hey, that's great, and we might have some, hey, that needs work on this collection because I haven't looked at it. But it's good to have a sample here
Oh, I
tonight.
didn't even know somebody could pick the
See, you can show
butterfly.
them what not to do. Yours.
Okay.
All right,
What to do?
that, okay.
So one thing, and Mr. Parrish is gonna talk about the contest, but whenever you're going out and looking at collecting your bugs, because that's our goal for the next several weeks, is to start to collect your bugs. we don't want a lot of the same class of bugs. We want a wide variety of bugs.
Well, back up.
Sorry.
Classes, are we talking like 3rd grade, 4th grade bugs? What do you mean by classes?
Oh, classes.
That's not anything we cover tonight.
Actually, she meant orders.
She did mean orders, but yeah, but I mean
I apologize.
what do we mean by that?
Orders. So when we get into talking about making your collection, not only are we learning about the bugs, but we're trying to identify what insect order they're going to go into. And for your collection, if you want to submit your collection to AgriLife in June, you need to identify so many different orders depending on your age. And you have a packet here on the guide to insect and non-insect or arthropods. So now Parker, you're in 6th grade? Okay, so you're going to be an intermediate and everybody else is going to be a junior, okay? So these, and please do not get scared by these big words. Because when Morgan and I started learning entomology last spring, I was really scared by these big words. But as I started to learn about them, I realized, okay, they're not that scary. But in each of these orders, which Miss Thurston might want to go into probably in another class, but this packet right here talks about what insects fall into these different orders. This is a junior collection, so you can see an example of some of the orders. When you continue into your packet, it kind of talks a little bit more about the orders. So for example, on juniors, it says, the second one, and please don't judge me, I might not say this right. Odonata?
Odonata.
Odonata. When you turn the page, you can see that Odonata is damselflies or dragonflies. So someone here likes the dragonfly. So that would be an Odonata insect order. So once you find a dragonfly, you've already found an insect in that insect order. So then you want to go on to a different insect order. Some of you said that you liked the walking stick. Is that this? That's not this one. Or maybe a grasshopper. That's Orthoptera. Or maybe you wanted to look at silverfish. Who gets a lot of those in your house? The silverfish. So you can see the difference of orders. So that's how you're going to, and don't get, this is a lot of information. We're going to get into this in the next class. Whenever you bring your insects, we're going to learn about how to identify those insect orders. But I wanted to just say that because we want to get a lot of different types of insects for your collection.
Okay. All right. Would you like to pick up one of those insects?
I'd love to.
Right? Get one.
Pick up the I want to pick up.
You want to move down here. I think they're going to look at these insects.
Keep your hand off the insect and pick it up with the pen. All right, now then, here's a cool thing. I want you to hand me that insect. No, I want you to put it where I can reach it. Not quite. Not quite. You keep holding it. You keep holding it. All right, now stick out your little finger. Stick it down here. Turn in. No, keep your little finger right there. Okay. Now, why do we do that? Because I might be all shaky. All right. Now here, take it back. With little finger. Okay. Now, if we balance each other like that, we'll never break the insect because I know right where you are. All right. Okay. Little finger. Now, put them back where they came from. Okay, nicely done. All right, now do you see why this is a better way to present them than this? We couldn't hand these around, could we?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Now, trust me, I made that collection when I was a kid. And then I learned how to make this one. That's right.
But that's the beauty about starting so young, is that each year you can, collect more and learn more about the bugs and get better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay.
Oh, and I got a question.
Okay.
Are spiders included when we do these, or are they?
I believe because spiders are in the same phylum, but they're not insects. And I believe that you can have a few. But if you can find that
I
rule,
will find out for you.
yeah. Before I say yes or no, let me be sure of what the rules say. I hope so, but there's probably a limit to how many.
Because I love spiders. Oh.
You know, I've come this close to buying a really good book about spiders, and if it didn't cost nearly $100, I'd already have it. Because yes, they are fascinating. They really are. I still don't want them crawling on me, but I do like looking at them. They are fascinating. Okay. What's your other questions? Okay. Well, that's all we can learn from me tonight. So I guess it's time for you to wrap it up. What do we need to cover?
So